some resources. I will link some resources. Hi, it's Amber here. Hi, hello. So this is another gender journal one because I am a confused bee and I got to talk about that gender thing a lot. So something that is a huge thing in me trying to figure out me in general, and gender specifically, is my DID, which I recently made a little video about. Just a quick little overview. If someone's watching this and they're like, what the fuck is DID? What the fuck are you talking about? I have dissociative identity disorder, which means that I have multiple personalities. It's basically just having multiple consciousnesses living in one body. And that's my body. I'm Amber. I am the host, so I am here most of the time. But there are other people who are here some of the time. And that's that. If you want to know more about it, I urge you to look at things like the Mind website or other people, other like channels that do a lot of DID stuff. But this is not about DID solely, it's about gender, but just how my DID, how having a system. So a system is the way that most people refer to all of their personalities in one go kind of thing. So just everyone is your system. So this is about trying to figure out your gender when you're part of a system, because it's hard. It's really hard. So for starters, I personally, as Amber, have a very weak sense of identity, have a weak sense of self, is what a lot of people, professionals, say. If someone asks me, what are you like? I'll say what other people think I'm like. But if you ask me what I think I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know. Something that I'm trying to work through at the moment. But that isn't a particularly wonderful base to have when you are questioning or trying to figure out your gender, because gender is a confusing little thing, and I think it makes it harder than some of the other things because of like the social side of it, because of so much social pressure that's put upon your gender and what's put upon you when you are born with whatever genitals you have, which I think is really weird. Like, since when is it okay to go, this baby has these genitals, let's plan their life around their genitals? Very strange concept, but that's how it is. So I think that that's what makes it a little bit harder to figure out, is because of all this social pressure. So you've got your weak sense of self, and then I'm trying to figure out my gender, and I'm like, crap. And then there's all these other people, all my parts, my alters, if you call them alters. I call them parts, I don't know, all the guys, so I call them the guys. When I'm talking about the guys, I'm talking about my parts, just so you know. So then you have all these guys. They're not all guys, they're not all male. I just call them the guys. And I think they're okay with that, as far as I know they are. So a big question, one of the biggest questions for me is, when my gender seems to be fluid, I don't know if that's because my personal, as Amber, my gender is fluid, whether that fluidity is an influence of one of the guys coming in or going out or being closer or being further away, or whether I'm picking up on their feelings or whatever. Because I do, because I feel their feelings sometimes. So I'm like, what if people are kind of close, and this feeling, this like feeling of discomfort, or this feeling of like, yay, I like that, is not mine, it's theirs kind of thing. Because I'm still kind of at the beginning of my journey with DID, I guess, so I'm not super great yet at being like, oh, that was this person. And this is something that's been really, really like prevalent, I guess, in the last couple of days. So one of my parts that is male, his name's Jake, and he was out the other day, and a lot of people have said this to me before, that he knows quite a lot about me, and I kind of knew this, that he is around quite a lot, but hearing people say that he'll remember certain things is dizzy. is you know, when you mention someone's name, they just come really close. Hi. So I wonder that because he is around a lot, like just kind of around here, in this headspace bit kind of thing, whether sometimes my feelings, some of my discomfort towards stereotypically very feminine things is to do with him. And the same thing is true for when I like feminine things. So I got a dress the other day, which I really liked, and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like, I quite like this. This is quite, yeah, I like that. I like that. And then when Jake came out, he had said, oh, by the way, Alice really likes Amber's new dress. Alice is another part who's we've only just found. So she's kind of new to us, but she's liked this dress that I had. So then when obviously that got relayed back to me, I was like, oh, maybe I didn't like it. Maybe it was me picking up on Alice's signal kind of thing, like, you know, radio signal. Maybe it was me picking up on that. So I'm like, oh God, that's even more confusing. That kind of links then into more strong feelings of dysphoria, and trying to figure out whether any dysphoria that I feel is gender dysphoria or is dysphoria to do with dissociation. So whether it's me feeling dysphoria because a situation, so a comment that someone's used towards me or something that I'm wearing is clashing with my sense of gender, or whether it's just clashing with my sense of self, whether I look at myself in the mirror and I don't really know who I am, and that's why I feel a bit of that dysphoria thing. Also, something that I know is that when parts are out, they might feel dysphoria. That's not necessarily gender dysphoria. That might be dysphoria just because they are in a body that's not theirs, kind of thing. And that, as you can imagine, would be quite dysphoria-inducing, because it would. And that's not really anything to do with gender. It could be to do with gender. Obviously, if you're a male part and you're in a assigned female at birth body, it's going to be odd. It's going to be gender dysphoria based kind of thing. But just in general, like if you're really tall and you're in a body that I'm quite short and one of my parts is really tall, like they're going to feel quite dysphoric because that's not their body. Like that's not them. So I don't know if I'm disassociating. I don't know if I look at myself in the mirror and go, oh, I don't know if that's just because I'm generally a bit disassociated, or again, whether it's someone else feeling like, oh God, that's not mine, kind of thing. And the same goes for euphoria, so gender or identity euphoria. So when the other day I went to a Halloween party, and this is when we figured out Alice was around because I wore a costume that she really identified with, that she said, actually, you look like a little bit like me. The person that you are trying to portray looks like I do. So that was like this identity euphoria for her, to be like, oh my God, you look like me. Like, oh my God, great. Like the body, like we look like me. Yay, exciting kind of thing. So it's confusing, and it's wondering whether when I get that, if I get like, I like this top. I like it. It makes me feel like me, like yay, I like that. I don't know whether that's my euphoria, like a gender euphoria kind of thing, 'cause it's slightly androgynous, whether it's like identity euphoria, 'cause it just, I don't know, it feels like me in some way, or whether it's someone else feeling like, oh, this is androgynous, that's like me, yay, we look a bit like me now, that's something that I would wear, kind of thing. Yeah, it's knowing whether the dysphoria or the euphoria is gender based, whether it's identity based, whether it's mine, or whether it's someone else's. So all of these questions. And underneath that, it's confusing to know if how something makes you feel anyway. I think that's quite a hard thing to sometimes connect to, just in general. So to have then extra kind of questions on top of it, it's quite a lot. And that goes through to pronouns as well. So pronoun discomfort or comfort, I think, is exactly the same. Is it uncomfortable for me, or someone else.
So there's that aspect of it. And then there's the thing of they pronouns. So this is something that I'm confused about a lot at the moment, is that I quite like a they pronoun. I don't explicitly say that's what I use. I don't really know. I've never really told anyone to specifically use a specific pronoun because I don't really know what makes me feel comfortable or not. But I know if people do use it, I'm like, okay, I don't mind. So I don't know whether that is a gender thing because it's, you know, seen as a bit more of a neutral pronoun, an androgynous pronoun. But also, as well as being used as a singular pronoun, it can be obviously, as we know, used as a plural pronoun. Not solely as a plural pronoun, as well as it can be used singular or plural. I don't know whether I like it in the singular sense because it's affirms that non-binary kind of sense that I get, or if I do like it because of the plural sense, because I'm a multiple, because there are other identities, because I'm part of a system. And I know that some people will say, like, oh, we did this and we did that, and they will use they as a pronoun for the system kind of thing. And I've done that a couple of times. I know when someone's really close, I'll say we are doing this because it feels like we are doing it because we're here, or like there kind of thing. In general, I will say I. At the moment, that's how it is. And I'll say me instead of us. At the moment, there'll be times where I will use plural language. So I don't know whether I feel affirmed as part of a system when people use they pronouns because it can be used in a plural sense. Or whether other people in the system feel like, yay, me too, like I'm here too kind of thing. When people use a they pronoun, it's like, they're referring to all of us, not just Amber kind of thing. And I know that I shouldn't care about this, but then there's a social aspect as well. If I use a they pronoun because I am part of a system, because I'm a multiple, if I use it for that sense, I don't want to like feed into all that. See, look, it is a multiple, it is a plural pronoun. Like, because yes, it can be a plural pronoun, but it also can be singular, very much so. Like, grammatically, it's grammatically correct to use it in a singular sense. I don't want to feed into the belief that that's not grammatically correct. I don't want to give anyone any more reason to discredit singular they pronouns because they're so valid. Like, oh yeah, it's fine that you're using a they pronoun because you're actually multiple people, but anyone else isn't. You know, that's not valid. No, get on my high horse thinking that I know everything about gender and grammar. They don't. It's really annoying. My laptop is glitching, and so I've been rambling about this point for ages because I don't know what the next one is. Because I'm doing bullet points now, so I don't ramble as much, but it's not working because I'm still rambling. Structured rambling. This is what this is. Like, definitely someone is close because why am I sitting like this? That's probably Jake actually. Probably because I was talking about him. He's like, hello. Not in that voice. Yay. Hooray. Right. Okay, cool. Cool. No. If anyone knows that reference, then you get 10 points. Yeah, so it's maybe the fact that using a solely singular pronoun, like he or she, doesn't feel right because I'm not a singular person. But then I'm in right. It's hard though, isn't it? Because I'm entitled to my own pronoun that's just mine. But then I'm also entitled to a system pronoun, if you will. I like that. Quite like that actually. I like that. So there's people definitely close because I'm talking about them. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I know that. I don't know if you can tell or not, but my voice keeps changing a little bit, and that's because people are close. You can tell because it's wanting to do this. It's wanting to go really low, which means that there's probably one of the guys around. So I think everything in terms of DID with figuring out my gender, I think it kind of boils down to these two questions in is, am I confused about my identity because everyone is around? Or am I finally figuring out me amongst everyone else because now I have better knowledge of them and now I'm actually being me more, I'm actually being present more and disassociating less. So I'm here more, so I have more time to figure myself out and more time to question it because I'm here more. It's that, or am I, feeling everyone else's feelings more because we're more connected? Like that's, I don't know. That's a big question. And the other question is about feelings, and it's, is this feeling mine or someone else's? And that's really hard to figure out, I think. And I'm hoping that will come with knowing the guys more, in that knowing that, oh, actually, that's that person's feeling. And I'm sure that my therapist would say, well, why don't you ask? Why don't you ask them if that's their feeling? But that's quite hard to do every time that you have like a little feeling about something, then to spur a whole internal conversation. Yeah, and I want to talk about this to people. I worry that what one or the other option is going to be disregarded when I talk about it. When I talk about being confused about my gender, I'm worried that either my DID is going to be invalidated or my gender confusion is going to be invalidated by the other thing, if that makes sense. So I just don't want to talk about it because I don't want that. I don't want that invalidation of either of them because they're both valid. So I don't want to talk about them at the same time. I want to talk about them separately. Do you know what I mean? Like, which I've been trying to do with my gender things, is talking about them, with general things in general, trying to think about them regardless of the DID aspect of it, which doesn't work because the reality is that that is part of my experience, is that yes, I have this gender confusion, but I can't look at that separate from my DID because chances are that at least some aspect of it is interlinked. And what I'll probably come to discover is that it's a middle ground, which I hate, because I hate middle grounds. But what I'll probably come to discover is that some of it is me and my identity and my gender being squiggly, and some of it is the guys coming in and out in some way, and I don't know what parts are which, and that's what I've got to figure out. I need to figure out my gender as part of my system, within it, kind of thing. And also, any feeling is still valid, whether it is mine or someone else's. But where it's coming from doesn't make it invalid, just makes the way that I deal with it perhaps a little bit different. If it's my feeling, I've got to deal with it within myself. If it's someone else's feeling, I've got to have that conversation with them. I can't preempt what is going to help them. From now on, I am going to be honest. I think I'm going to try and be honest with the fact that I am part of a system, so any feelings that I do have might be linked to my DID, kind of thing. I'm going to stop trying to figure them out separately. I'm trying to figure out my DID and trying to figure out my gender separately, because they do mesh together. It feels like it's going to be harder to figure them out together. It feels like it's going to be really messy, but it feels like ultimately that's what's going to work because that's how it is. They are intertwined. So figuring them out in an intertwined way is probably going to be the way that's going to work, even though it feels really messy. I think. That felt good to finally talk about that. Sorry that it was just a lot of internal questions and I didn't really come up with an answer, apart from middle grounds are good, but I hate them. I hope you have a good day, or week, or month, or life. I might see you again if you would like to join me on another semi-structured ramble. That's cool. I'll be here again chatting about something. So you can choose to join me if you like, or you can choose to go away and never see me again if you don't like me. stay safe and give yourselves a big cuddle. Look after yourselves and all of that good stuff. And I might see you again at some point. Goodbye.